Hi everyone, it's Catherine. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my May plan with me. So if you want to draw along, feel free to grab your bullet journal and your favorite art supplies, or just grab a cup of tea and get comfy. This is a long one. For this month, I decided to do crabapple blossoms. I didn't want to do cherry blossoms because everyone does that, and it was tough for me to actually decide what theme to do. I started out thinking that maybe I would do something like butterflies and maybe put my own spin on it, but I really didn't like how that was turning out as I was outlining things in pencil. So I ended up erasing and trying out the crabapple blossoms instead, and I really liked that. I liked the way the branches of the trees frame the pages, and I liked the overall look of the pretty sort of purple, pink, maybe mauve, I guess. I don't know. Those pretty sort of purpley pink blossoms were really pretty. So as you may have noticed, I had my tree started to be outlined in pencil just so I knew where the branches were, so I knew where to place my not cherry blossoms, my crabapple blossoms. And then I took my 03 Pigma Micron fine liner and drew the blossoms in so I could just go straight over top of the branches. And then after I finished drawing in all of the blossoms and the leaves, I took the same fine liner and outlined the tree itself. And that just gave me a really nice look so that you could see it looked like the blossoms were sitting on top of the branches, but I still knew where to put my blossoms because I had the pencil outlines there. Excuse me. It is spring allergy season. So once I got all of that outlined and drawn in, I just wrote the title May for the month. And now I'm taking a nice brown Tombow dual brush pen and just coloring in the tree. After that, I'm going to layer the colors for the blossoms. I used 2 zebra mild liners for this. I really didn't have a color that I wanted for the blossoms just on its own. So I took a bright pink mild liner on the bottom and a sort of purplish red kind of color on the top, and those two colors layered on top of each other made a really nice sort of crabapple blossom. They turned out a bit darker than I'd intended, but that may also be due to the size of the blossoms themselves. Again, sorry, allergies. But for the most part, I'm really happy with how this page turned out. I did lose a little bit of footage here. I'm not really sure what happened. This video was really a monster to edit and to film. So I have a quote here by Martin Luther King Jr. as my sort of starting quote to the month. And it is, "If I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way." And I just thought that was a really nice quote. And especially coming into spring and really starting to feel that energy again of just springtime and wanting to really do things again, I thought that was a really good quote and just a good reminder, that even if we can't do great things, we can always strive to do even the small things in a great way. So yeah, I like that. All right, flipping the page, it is time to draw the May calendar. So I already have my dots marked out here for my boxes. I did that in pencil, and so now I'm just taking a ruler, and I'm sorry you're going to see my head. Looks like specifically my glasses. That's lovely. But I had to get a little closer to the page so that I could make sure everything was lined up properly. As I've said before, rulers can be a little bit annoying for me to work with because I need to make sure that they're lined up. Otherwise, I will have straight lines, but I'll have straight lines that list off one direction or another, and that is incredibly annoying. after I go through all that effort to make nice straight lines, to have them kind of drifting away from me. So they do kind of make it slower, but I also really like the nice crisp edges that I get from using a ruler. So you will see my head every so often in this setup because I just needed to get a little closer. And because May has 6 rows instead of the usual 4 or 5, this calendar ended up taking up a lot more of the page than I thought it would, and I like the way it turned out. I was still able to have a nice area for a monthly tasks list, and I got a nice area to be able to draw my title, and it turned out really great, but it definitely took a little bit more finagling than normal. Now, what I didn't realize when I was counting my days, I thought that May ended on a Sunday, and whoops, it doesn't. It ends on a Monday. So you'll see at the end how I end up kind of remedying that little problem. I took my Kuretake Zig Kokoiro letter pen, and I wrote out the days of the week and also May at the top. And then I took my bright pink zebra mildliner and highlighted over it. I didn't realize that this particular brush pen would actually smear a little bit with the mildliner, but instead of worrying about it and trying to fix it, I honestly just decided to embrace it. I almost kind of like that little bit of a sort of wet smeared effect that it gets now with the pen and everything. It looks kind of cool. And I have some number stickers from Planning with Kay that I'm using. I love the pink, sort of mild pink color that they are. I started out with the smaller ones because I didn't want to take up too much space on my calendar with the numbers, and then realized that I could not read those numbers for the life of me. And I don't think it's very useful to have numbers on a calendar that I can't read. So I ended up replacing them with the big ones, and then decided that you really didn't need to watch me go through 2 sets of numbers. So I just put the bigger ones on, cut out the small part, the part with the small letters. I can't talk today. I'm using some washi tape from Amanda Rach Lee to block out most of the days that I accidentally added and shouldn't have. That way, if I decide I need them, I can always remove the washi tape, but if I don't need them, then I still have a nice decoration. And in the final day that shouldn't be there, I actually just put my YouTube tracker. And then on the right hand side, I'm making my task list with that purple zebra mildliner. And finally, at the top of the page, I'm just drawing in some more branches and some crabapple blossoms. I'm going to keep calling them cherry blossoms. They're not, they're crabapple blossoms, but they look very similar. You draw them the same way, apparently, so it's easy to get them mixed up, but they are crabapple blossoms. So I'm drawing in the branches and the crabapple blossoms with my 03 Pigma Micron fine liner. That is the fine liner that I use throughout this entire setup. And I will have everything linked below in case you're interested in this, in replicating this setup. Or if you're just curious to see what I used, or, you know, you want some cool new pens. Now I'm coloring in the branches with my brown Tombow, and then using that double layer of the zebra mildliners to color in the crabapple blossoms themselves. And then I have a nice dark green Tombow for the leaves. Looking back at this, I think I probably made the leaves a little bit too dark. Probably should have gone for a lighter, sort of springier green. But by the time I figured that out, I had already used that green for most of the setup and really didn't feel like changing or trying to figure out a nicer green. So that's what I've got. The next page is my habit tracker, and I'm using another sticker from Planning with Kay. This made making the habit tracker so easy, and I really loved having that sticker. As much as I enjoy the stickers that I used for my habit trackers last month from Stick with Kate from her Etsy shop, I found that I chose the wrong size. I really should have gotten slightly bigger circle stickers if I wanted to do that. The stickers were just so small that I ended up not really using that habit tracker a lot, so I'm hoping that this larger sticker will make it easier for me to fill out and therefore make it something that I actually want to do. I believe if you're still interested and just haven't gotten the stickers from Stick with Kate yet, I believe she has bigger circle stickers. I just happened to get the smaller ones, and that was my mistake. So yeah, now I'm just drawing in more trees, more branches, and more crabapple blossoms. And honestly, this is the part that took the longest. I really thought that this setup would be fairly quick and easy. As I said, my original thought had been to draw butterflies and do like my own sort of spin on their wings, and that just was really annoying. I'm not very good at drawing symmetrical things, especially just between my eyesight and my lack of practice. One of those things I can improve upon, the other one I cannot. So we'll see how that goes in the future. But between those two things, it's really hard for me to draw things that need to be symmetrical, or at least need to be mostly symmetrical. And the butterflies were just proving to be very frustrating. I really didn't like how they were turning out at all. So I thought, oh, crabapple blossoms, that'll be cool. And it did turn out really cool. I just didn't anticipate it taking so incredibly long to draw these things. So, but you know, it was still really cool. I like the way it turned out. And now I'm making my mood tracker, starting out with the tree and the crabapple blossoms. And then I ended up drawing 31 individual crabapple blossoms, so it looks kind of like they're falling from the tree. I thought about just drawing 31 petals falling from the tree, but I really wanted the actual blossoms. So I drew those, put a little number next to each one to indicate which day that particular blossom represents, so that when I look back at my mood tracker, I can see where in the month my mood dipped or rose, if there's any kind of a pattern. It just makes it easier for me to see when I actually number each item that I'll be coloring in or filling out, or however I choose to do my mood track for that month. Now I'm just writing the title, Mood Tracker, at the bottom. And I haven't done my key yet because I'm honestly not sure what my color scheme is going to be in terms of indicating my mood. If you are interested in seeing what it ends up being and what my mood tracker ends up looking like as I start to fill it out, feel free to follow me over on Instagram. I will be posting there. And I've been pretty bad lately about posting on Instagram, but that's one of my goals for this month, is to get better about that and to be a little bit more consistent. So hopefully I will be getting more consistent with posting on Instagram and actually showing you guys the progress that I'm making throughout my journal. And so now here we go again, just coloring in the trees. And you'll notice when I color in things that are at the edge of the page, what I really like to do is sort of lift the page up a little bit and take the marker and color the very edges first. And so that way when I go to fill it in, I don't have to worry about accidentally grazing the page below if the pages don't line up quite right, or getting all kinds of marks along the sides of my journal. It just makes it easier to control that way, and it's a little less stressful for me in terms of making sure I'm not messing up other pages that either have or have not been decorated yet. And so now I'm coloring in the cherry blossoms and coloring in the cherry blossom in the middle of the habit tracker. Cherry blossom. Told you I was going to do that. The crabapple blossoms. They are crabapple blossoms. I have cherries on my brain apparently. It'll be cherry season in probably another month or so. So I'm very excited about that. I love fresh cherries. But these are crabapple blossoms, not cherry blossoms. All right, flipping over, it's time to make my meal plan spread. And for this one, I'm just doing the same thing that I've done in the previous 2 months, making a Dutch door vertically. And then I am going to just draw my branches and crabapple blossoms. And so I will leave you to enjoy the lovely music I chose for this month's video, and enjoy. Now, one thing I did notice here was when I flipped the page over, the little Dutch door over, while the number of spaces that I counted in was correct on both sides, because of the way the journal is laying as I'm getting near the end of it, that one Dutch door didn't actually go over as far as it should have. If I were in the middle of the journal, the Dutch door would have been even on both sides, but because I'm nearing the end of the journal, it had a little bit farther to go in order to reach the same distance that I had on the other side, if that makes any sense at all. So what I ended up doing to sort of fix that was, since I had the titles of each week written in, I just extended the branches and I drew the blossoms a little bit closer to where I was going to originally put them. So it's not an exact hard line, but it does come pretty close, and it makes the decorative border fit a little bit better once that page is flipped over. And if you are paying attention, you will probably notice that when I colored in my crabapple blossoms, I forgot to go over the branches and erase the pencil first. So my graphite and zebra mild liners definitely smeared very, very badly. Nothing that actually damaged the markers. I just scribbled it off in the back of the journal to sort of clean it off. But it definitely made these cherry blossoms and these crabapple blossoms in particular a little darker and a little darker than I had intended. But again, I didn't realize that until after I'd done it. So just friendly word of advice there. Remember to erase your pencil before going in and coloring, because it will smear. All right, flipping over, I'm making one spread, 2 pages here. The left side is going to be a space for thoughts. I've been doing an ideas spread in previous months, and this month I really just wanted to do thoughts. I really didn't use my ideas page at all this month, and I'm going to be moving over into a long-term collections journal fairly soon. So rather than have yet another ideas page, I really wanted a spot where if I just wanted to do some free writing or free journaling, that I could. Something that maybe wouldn't necessarily fit in a daily summary, maybe a reflection of some kind. I'm not really sure yet, but I just wanted a place to put that. And then on the right-hand side is another ideal routine spread. In April, I have been working on sort of creating a morning routine and thinking through what I absolutely must get done in the morning in order to feel like a grown-up and to feel ready for the day. And beyond that, what is nice to do if I have time, and sort of working on creating an ideal routine. It doesn't mean that I do these things every single morning. It just means that these are the things ideally that I would get done in order to feel ready and prepared and like a grown-up. And also just paying more attention to, when I brush my teeth and change fully out of everything that I slept in and into real person clothes, that I feel much more ready for the day. And because I teach ESL online, I teach from home. My students are all in China, so I'm up very early in the morning, and I don't like to get up earlier than I have to. So kind of knowing too that, okay, if I at least can make sure that I have time to brush my teeth, put actual clothes on and not just throw something on that is appropriate for teaching as a shirt, but then staying in my pajama pants. If I know that I have time to do those two things at least in the morning before I have to come down and teach, that I actually feel more energized and awake and ready to attack the day, and I don't feel quite as harried and rushed from class to class. That's a good thing to know. So I spent a lot of time in April doing that. So in May, I'd like to kind of go to the opposite end of the day now and look at what is an ideal nighttime routine for me, or bedtime routine. Especially as we move into summer, I find it very difficult to go to bed at a reasonable hour because it's light out longer, and there's just generally more going on in the summer, and you tend to be out later because it's light and it's nice out, whereas in the winter it's dark, it's cold. The sooner you can get in and get comfy and cozy and not have to be outside, the better. But I don't want to do that all summer because I will be a very tired and exhausted person if I do that. So we're just looking at routines here this last couple of months. And so hopefully this will help me to be able to get to bed at a reasonable time, even during the summer when I don't necessarily feel like it all the time. So now I'm just highlighting every other line, which helps me write more evenly as I journal. And then flipping the page, it's now time for the daily summary or daily review. And would you look at that? I actually spelled summary correctly. Go me. If you've been around for a bit, you know that for some reason I just have such a hard time spelling the word summary. So once again, I'm creating a Dutch door. I really like to have 4 lines for each day, and that is just not something I can fit on 1 or even 2 pages. So this is a great place for a Dutch door spread. So I like to talk, and I don't like to be confined to just 1 line. I've tried it, and I do not care for it. So I'm drawing some cherry blossoms, and I actually decided that I was going to make my header space a little bit bigger. It both gives me room to draw more branches and cherry blossoms and make the header a little bit prettier, and it also helps with the spacing of my numbers when I actually go to label the days. So we're drawing branches, drawing crab apple blossoms. I'll get it by the end of the video. I really liked having these bunches of blossoms and branches surrounding the title and then moving over onto the second page as the header. Ended up being very pretty. You can see this just takes a long time to draw. So by this point, I think my eyes were getting tired. I'm noticing my head in the shot a lot more. Now I'm just writing the numbers 1 to 31, leaving 4 lines in between each number. That will give me plenty of space to write down the highlights of each day or my thoughts about different days, depending on what happened. I have to admit, I'm very impressed with myself because for the most part, I'm keeping up with this. There are definitely days that I miss or days where I have to write down 2 or 3 days in a row, and sometimes I do forget what happened and have to leave a day blank. But for the most part, I've actually kept up with this, which is kind of a new thing for me. So I'm very impressed with myself for continuing to keep up with this daily summary. And if you heard that dog bark, that would be my mother's dog. I'm honestly surprised she hasn't made it into more of these videos. So once again, I'm just highlighting every other line in that pretty sort of pinky purple color, just to help myself keep my spacing and my lines even as I write. Alright, and now it's time for the first weekly spread of May. It would be May 3rd through the 9th, and I've already outlined in pencil where my boxes are going to go, so all I have to do now is go over it in Fineliner. I could have used a ruler, I should have used a ruler, but honestly, by this point in the day, I was just done. I was sick of drawing, I was sick of working on this thing, and so I just went in and freehanded it. And as you'll probably notice, I paid the price for that because my lines are definitely very, very wobbly. But that's okay. I was done. I just wanted to get it done at this point and didn't have the patience to line up a ruler to make it straight. So once I get the boxes drawn, I'm just drawing in some more branches and cherry blossoms. And in that first box, because of course there are 8 boxes and I really only need 7, I'm just drawing in a few more cherry blossoms, crabapple blossoms. One of these days, I'll figure it out. It won't be till the very end of the video, but I will remember at some point that these are crabapple blossoms. So I just drew in a few, put in a couple leaves. Now I'm just writing in the titles of each day. And I went in and highlighted each day with, again, that bright pink zebra mildliner to tie it back to the monthly calendar. Oops, nope, not bright pink, sorry. That sort of pink purple sort of color. Now I'm going to create the tasks list, and for that I am just drawing in some more branches and crabapple blossoms, and I'll write tasks as a header. And I'm not doing sort of a rolling weekly style. I did find that that was kind of annoying to keep up with, so this tasks list really is just, what tasks do I have for this week? What do I need to get done? And if I want to write a day down that I did it or completed it, I can. If I don't want to, I don't have to. I can just put a check mark by it to show that it's complete. I love the idea of the rolling weekly, but it really just got to be annoying. Found that I really didn't care what day I actually finished a task on or completed it, or how long it took me to do a task. And if I really want to make a note of that, there is room to do that. As you can probably notice, I'm getting progressively messier with my lines and my coloring. We're reaching the point now where I'm really getting done with this. I just don't want to be here anymore. So I'm going as quick as I can and trying to be neat, but also not really caring. And if you'll notice too, I didn't actually draw in the leaves. This time I just took the brush pen and said, I'm just going to make some loose leaves here and whatever. And I do kind of like the look actually better than being so meticulous with the leaves. I like that they're just loose and you've just got that bit of green to indicate some foliage. I'm going to color in my branches and my tree trunk. And then write in the header, tasks. And there. All right, so I'm going to skip some pages. I'm not setting up the rest of my weeklies for this month because I just don't feel like it. And I'm going to create the May review page. Unlike April, where I wanted to really give myself space to reflect on last April versus this April with just timing of the pandemic and everything, this month I'm just giving myself one page. I don't think I'll need that much space. If I do need that much space, then I can find somewhere else. Maybe that can go in the thoughts section, depending on how much of that I end up using. But I really don't think I'll need that much extra space for May. May of last year was just, things were rolling along through 2020 the way they do. And this month will be a little bit, hopefully a little bit less crazy. But if I do need the extra space, I do have it. So again, more crabapple blossoms. I'm taking the brush pen once again and just doing some loose leaves to give a little contrast and put some leaves on the tree so it's not all blossoms. I'm just going to fill in right there, fill in my branches. And I have the title. And now I'm going to do one last quote page just to finish off the month. And this quote is by John Barrymore. And I just thought it was a really nice quote. It says, "Happiness often sneaks through a door you didn't know you left open." I just think that's a good reminder that, to look for happiness in small places and places you don't expect to. And then for the decoration for this page, I was so over drawing the branches and the trees and everything. So I just did crabapple blossoms just in a line, sort of zigzagging down the right hand side of the page. And I actually like the way this turned out. Once again, just coloring them with the double layer of the zebra mildliners. And that is May. So here's the final flip through. We have our May cover page and the calendar, the mood and habit trackers, the meal plan Dutch door spread, thoughts and ideal routine, daily summary, which is also a Dutch door, and the first week of May, and then the monthly review and final quote page. So thanks for watching, everyone. I know this was a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, and feel free to subscribe for more content like this and other content as I think of it. All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye.